Good evening, Trinidad and Tobago. It is Thursday, the 7th of March, and I thought I would do a quick live video, just touch base with all of you. People have been messaging and asking, when is the next live? We can't wait until Monday for the next episode of Pep Talks on 104.7. And as there are a lot of important issues going and begging in the national conversation, I thought I'd bring some clarity. Now, there's something you need to understand, and that's the narrative. And the narrative is important. It's important to you. Because the narrative is what the media and the government convinces you everybody is talking about. The narrative is what they convince you that is of maximum paramount interest to everybody. The government and the media would have you believe that the narrative is who win road march. No, don't get me wrong. I love Savannah Grass. I ain't here for my lele, and I didn't take part in the carnival. It doesn't matter to me. Who won? It's always been a mafia. Everything in this country is a mafia. You're living in a country, and Kes the band knows. Kes managers know. All the Calypsonians, all the soca artists, everybody knows that it is a mafia running carnival. It is a mafia running who gets what prizes. And they hush them out. Because if they speak out, they don't get to play in fets and make the big money. So it's a trade-off. But I want to tell them something. They have allowed this to reach the point where it is now. So don't run petitions. Come out and speak out. Call a press conference and expose the underhandedness of having your agent run from truck to truck at the Savannah stage and downtown, telling the DJ, put on this now, put on that now. It's been going on for years, for absolute years. Don't be distracted by that. That can't be the important thing in this country. There's another conversation going on, and that is about the issue of Bayshore and what was allowed to take place in Bayshore. And I am very, very serious about this issue only because of the example it sets, and I want to tell you why. I did a video in Broome Street in La Puerta where poor people live. And Broome Street in La Puerta have it worse than Bayshore could ever get. But Bayshore thinks that because white people or rich people or upper class people live there, that they have a special entitlement. And I want to get them to understand that you don't. And I'm saying that very clear. We believe in a nation where every creed and race finds an equal place. And the moment you could close Bayshore because of shortcut traffic, close Broome Street. In Maraval, de go Martin Northeast, Bossier Village, between Bossier Village and Saddle Road, there's a place called Anderson Terrace. And Anderson Terrace, the residents of Anderson Terrace, in the morning until about 11 o'clock, their whole community is one way coming out of Maraval, as Saddle Road uses Anderson Terrace as a shortcut to bypass Colin Imbert's failed roundabout. And from about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, it reverses and the community becomes one way going the other way, not by their choice. And a lot of these same hypocrites that live in Bayshore use Broome Street and use Anderson Terrace. So I keep asking questions, but they don't want to have these questions. They want to attack Philip Edward Alexander for exposing the hypocrisy of their bullshit. And I say again, Ada Aboud, Polonais, and Gillette are taking public roads, are taking public property to make private property, and that is a crime. And I want to know where it goes from here. The Commissioner of Police give them a blind for carnival. I'm going down there tomorrow to see the gates close and give them the extra 3 days. Because I asked today, if the problem that you have is that you want to make your community a dead end, of most value to anybody is the entrance exit that leads to Western Main Road opposite Goodwood Park. Close that completely. Put a wall there. Let them have to exit an entrance through Regents Park and Westmoreland. Use the same traffic light. Join the same traffic. But what Bayshore residents want is they want to control the shortcut. They alone with their remotes must be able to access it. And that's wrong. That's wrong. We must never have a double standard as a nation. We continue to do that at all levels of society to our detriment. We need, as a people, to be able to say wrong is wrong and it can be right regardless of who's doing it. And I, Philip Edward Alexander, my role in the politics is to continue to expose the high-level criminality in this country. to keep bringing it to you so that you can make informed decisions at every step of the way. And don't wait for you to reach in the public health sector to go into a health center and then have to talk about the conditions of what we've been talking about all this time. I want to have a national symposium on public health. I think we are overdue for an investigation, if not a commission of inquiry, into where all the money that we spend on public health goes. I talk to doctors, I talk to medical professionals, I talk to nurses. There are companies in this country who exist to invoice public health for things they never get. They never get. Let me tell you where the criminality starts. From the moment the Minister of Health and the Minister of Finance passed that $5 billion this year for public health, half that money gets stolen. Half of it. Invoiced for things that never gets delivered. Then, half of what gets delivered as medicine and supplies are stolen. And then half of what is sold to the hospitals as food for patients, stolen. There are no systems in place to protect anybody. And the $5 billion spent this year is $20 billion under Rowley. That bumps up the $30 billion under Kamala. That bumps up the $30 billion under Manning. That bumps up the $30 billion under Pandey. And that $120 billion could have rebuilt Trinidad and Tobago, not just public health. So where the hell is this money going? And the reason the money is disappearing, making some big shots in Goodwood Park and Fairways live nicer, while your family, Nicole Huggins had to say her mother spent 23 hours on a gurney. A man say, but you joking, my mother spent time on the floor. Like that, one makes the other okay. Instead of both of them standing with each other, the other guy wants to be able to say, because my circumstances were worse than yours, you should shut up. So what has to happen? Somebody's mother have to spend 3 weeks in a toilet? At what point do we realize that all wrong is wrong? At what point? Because that is what is keeping us from standing together. I do not care about the Road March title. I expected it to be stolen like the Calypso Monarch. All of the bullshit that was sung in the savannah, all of them together didn't equal what Banjala sang, and they blanked that boy. Because what he sang empowers you. And the government don't want you empowered. The government wants you stupid. The government wants you arguing over foolishness. The government wants you barely getting by. The government wants you suffering for a walk. The government wants you taking licks and blows in Subway and KFC and amalgamated security because you can't leave them jobs. Because if you leave them jobs and you miss an income for a month, you're in trouble. You and your family homeless. That's how this country was set up to run. And if we the people don't stand together, and I'm telling you all, the reason the world changes, all the countries that you are leaving Trinidad to go to are countries where the people said that's enough. I am watching Trinidadians quoting Iceland, and I'm thinking fantastic that you understand, but go back a little bit. Go back a little bit. Just go back 1 decade and see when the people of Iceland said, enough, fire everybody. Jail the bankers, jail the prime minister. The people of Iceland changed all their laws, redid their entire constitution, redid their country to the consternation of the 1%, who were raping and marauding the country much like they are doing here. In a nation where the Minister of Health, because of his title, is responsible for deaths on a daily basis by not telling the nation every single day that Trinidad and Tobago has the highest counts of heart disease in the Western world, that black men in Trinidad and Tobago are more likely to die from, if they don't get shot, from heart disease from that fast food diet that we live in. And he doesn't. It's like the Minister of Agriculture, who is paid to grow no food. You live in a country where the 1% business class and their deviants in the law association and the accounting firms that frustrate intelligent discourse use the media to distract you with bullshit. And that's where we are. That's a simple breakdown of why this country doesn't work. A nation so naturally wealthy, China tripping over itself to thief it. China has used Manning, Pandey, Rowley, Kamler to slowly steal this country. When you put a government in office that is really a government of the people, we will find out the extent of the battle we're going to have to fight to reclaim Trinidad from China. I don't know what these sons of bitches have mortgaged. And I don't know what we are going to do other than go to the United Nations and appeal for assistance to get China out of Trinidad. That the same China Railway Company that all of them is land-based is the same China Railway Company all of them dealing with. How is that? How is that? And I want to ask you a simple question. Why do we need China building projects in Trinidad when we could build the projects ourselves? Why? Why do we need that? To what purpose does the $560 million white elephant Napa serve anybody other than a metal erection, a phallic symbol to a dead shitong of a Prime Minister, Patrick Manning? That's all it was. Calder Hart and Patrick Manning, Napa, to fool black people. You can't go in there without a pass, a ticket, or invitation, or money. So it's not yours. It wasn't built for you, unless you think walking past and pointing at it makes it yours. $560 million. Napa, Sapa, Tapa, $1.5 billion that could have gone to actually developing the country, building proper education facilities, proper healthcare facilities, and creating a platform so that everybody who wants a home could own one. Not one of the governments we have ever installed, from Eric Williams, may he rot in hell, may he burn for eternity, that stink and nasty man, Eric Useless Williams, that son of a bitch that established the entire institutionalized corruption that destroys this country, from the police service to the justice system to public service. All of that, those are the children of Eric Williams. This mad, broken country that the world comes to see. So many people I see that I grew up with that living in foreign countries that come back here to talk to me for this dual duration of carnival. They tell me, boy Philip, you have belly. You have belly because you have a little amount of life, and you're wasting it fighting for a country that is not capable of recognizing itself in the mirror. That if it could, if black people and Indian people saw what was really being done to them, they could never tolerate it. There are people in this that I know from childhood that tell that one living in Australia, he said to me, he said, I can't believe nothing's changed 30 years. 30 years is still the same. Still the same broken sidewalks, pothole roads, water schedule, still the same. All the things that were bad, worse, none of the things that were good exist. How is that possible? How is it possible that Eric Williams could have done so much wrong to so many people and he not be tried for war crimes? Crimes against the people of Trinidad and Tobago that Patrick Manning furthered to enrich drug barons. The entirety of this country's wealthy class has questions to answer. And we know that, we all know that. We've been alive long enough. The average person knows when you went from driving in a fall-apart car, in one term you become a Porsche, BMW, Mercedes-Benz driving, Rolex, importing, penthouse, living son of a bitch. When you was bouncing check all over the country before Kamala get elected, Ish and Steve Ish, all Ish just lived like he is royalty. The son of a bitch had one backhoe when Pandey was elected. Look at it. Look at them. Look at what you are accepting. And one of the greatest things, at least the courts is finally finding its way to recognizing that free speech is the last thing that stands. There have been some judgments in the last couple of days and some pronouncements. And I want to say, Justice Carol Gobin, well said, that nobody in this country must be above reproach. that the only time you are above reproach is when you treat yourself and your office that way. That from the Chief Justice to the President to the Prime Minister, we, the people of Trinidad and Tobago, we have created an institutionalized, corrupt and broken country. And the only way to fix it is by our voices. Political will. What gets done in the country, political will, is set by you. What you accept. Do not accept people who look like you advantaging you. That is worse than if strangers do it to you. That is worse. When it's family and people who look like you doing it to you, that's worse. Trust me when I tell you that. You're supposed to be able to trust people that look like you, that come to you and tell you, vote for me because I'm black. I'm black like you, vote for me. I watched this jackass Conrad Enel telling them, we care about you. Care about who? Who the PNM has ever cared about in our country's history besides those who are willing to engage in criminal corruption with them? Who? Who? Name any community that is a PNM community for me, that is a successful community. Every community in this country that is remotely successful, successful in spite of government, not because of government. People may have to, like the Baptists, like the Shouter Baptists, who may have to lie down with the devil. Archbishop Burke, Barbara Burke, watch Manning and Pandey, and the devil that was willing to give her people recognition and decriminalize her religion. She slept with that devil. Because the PNM, under the PNM, you could have been jailed for being a Shouter Baptist. In this country, witchcraft is illegal. But a fella named Winston Ragu on Sabga News Network reading people tarot cards and crystal ball and pronouncing on magical, mystical bullshit. And Sabga ain't get called to account yet. Nicholas Sabga. Where is the Telecommunications Authority of Trinidad and Tobago while Sabga News Network, Guardian Media is corrupting the society? Where are they? Newsday put out an article today about political parties on the ground. And they named some shit snake parties that nobody knew. But they wouldn't name the Progressive Empowerment Party that don't stop working. How that works? Where are the publishers, Trinidad and Tobago Publishers and Broadcasters Association? Where? Louis Leesing's son is the president for life of that dictatorial little organization, Trinidad and Tobago Publishers and Broadcasters Association. Like how Gregory Aboud is dictator for life for Downtown Owners and Merchants Associations. These things are named as if they are real organizations, but they're not. I remember when Pierre Paul Phelps formed his flip-flop auto rental company to go and take cars from Robert Amar. He formed an association called the Auto Rental Association, Trinidad and Tobago. Had one member, him, and that association endorsed him and his company. This is a mad, mad country because we allow all of this shit to take place. And you have a chance now. You have a chance. And when you face it, you get angry. And when you see it, when the wolf comes sniffing around your family, you don't talk like you're in church, you know. When you realize what really going on in this country, when you get in a car accident and you go to the insurance company, I remember I drove a vehicle out of Massey Motors, TCY 2323, parked it in Port of Spain and Public Transport Service Corporation because I was invited to do a media interview in PTSC. While it was parked where it was supposed to be parked, a PTSC bus damaged the whole salary vehicle, 1 week old. And Sabga Tatil, the fella who come to adjust, he broke the guy who gets to tell you how much damage, he told me that because it's not brand new, 1 week older, because it's not brand new, it's devalued and depreciated and you have to get used parts. That the amount of the damage is 24,000, but they offered me 8. And your choices then is to sue them or take that. Because there is no association for me to go to in Trinidad and Tobago. Now, I'm not trying to get you to hear my story. That happened 5 years ago, more. I'm not trying to get you to hear my story. Let's handle my stories. But I think all the time about the people who are not as fortunate as me. I am very fortunate. I am very blessed. I am very lucky. The only time I have ever encountered public health in this country is when the entire private sector ran out of tetanus. And I had to go and sit down for 3 hours. Blessed. If it wasn't me, I'd there still. If it wasn't Philip Edward Alexander, 3 hours. 3 hours was me skipping the line. 3 hours was me skipping the line. I should still be there. True talk. And I do this thinking about the people who have nobody to turn to. I think about them. I watch a jackass tonight defend that the carnival passed in front of the neonatal unit of the San Fernando General Hospital. And to the point where it was so bad, they had to report the level of discomfort that these tiny babies who just came into the world enduring, and this jackass who was obviously lobotomized by a PNM education is saying what's wrong with that. It always saw the people like to see the mass pass. And I'm challenged to say jackass. That's not the point. But there comes a point in time where if you're in this conversation long enough, and God in heaven knows how long I'm in this conversation, but it comes a time where you just stop answering jackasses. You just delete their comment. You don't want it infiltrating the minds of the others looking on. You don't want that. You're trying to at least have a conversation so people understand. In Trinidad and Tobago, if you think the cost of living is high, try the cost of dying. When your loved ones die and you have to go to make funeral arrangements, go and see what the prices are of the cheapest coffins. Go and see. Go and see what it costs to have a cremation. Not even in death is there dignity and respect in Trinidad and Tobago. We are a broken country. And many of you turning your head to the truth. And that is okay for now. But at some point, I watch a little Venezuelan girl hold up a sign to say, Trini man chicken kiwi. That is not a compliment. When little girls have to flee Venezuela to become sex kittens to eat, that's not good. Don't wait for that to happen to you. Don't let that be your future or your children's future. You should be in the trenches fighting too. If there is anybody in this country that you love, you should be in the trenches fighting too. The Ministry of Works and Transport has announced that they, and I keep asking if this is a real country or a jackass farm, the Ministry of Works is announcing a temporary traffic disruption to facilitate the replacement of a cylinder crossing along the Sir Solomon Hochoy Highway north of the Couva-Presal overpass. Please be advised the traffic restrictions from Thursday 7th March 2019 from 10 a.m. to Sunday 10th of March 2018 at 8 p.m. Saturday 9th March to Sunday 10th March. Friday 15th March, Monday 18th March. Friday 22nd March to Monday 25th March. Now, all they're doing here is replacing something that already exists. In the rest of the world, that entire exercise would be done in one shift. It would be prefabricated off-site and it would be installed left side, right side, go. And the detour will take 1 day. In Trinidad, we had a prefabricated walkover that took nearly a week to install. This is an insane country. Now, why would I raise that? And the only reason that it should take so long is to inflate billable hours. When Jack Warner was the Minister of Works and Transport and they stole $5 million to bring a fire engine that they said went down a cliff, the first question critical thinkers asked was, is the fire engine worth $5 million? Because the candle shouldn't cost more than the funeral. Today, a fire engine is $1.4 million. So it wasn't a specialist fire engine that we needed to spend $5 million to retrieve. It wasn't. So why did we spend $5 million to retrieve a fire engine that wasn't worth $1 million? But it gets worse. Because I was asking that when somebody sent me information that Jack Warner lied. That the company who said that they were involved in retrieving the fire engine that fell 100 feet down a cliff lied. And social media established itself as the 800-pound gorilla in the national conversation then. Because I put out into the public space that Jack Warner lied. That the fire engine didn't go down a cliff. It was never in a precipice. It was a couple meters off the road and crashed. And Jack Warner put out a release describing where the fire engine went down the precipice. And I was able to put out video that proved he lied. And a gentleman in charge of the company that got the $5 million to split with Jack Warner and all of those who was involved gave a list of things that took 3 days. Cranes and rolling and logs these people provided a meal schedule for the amount of workers it took to retrieve the fire engine. He put that into the public space. And then we released the second video of an excavator drag it 3 meters and push it up on the back of a truck. These people went to the extent to create a meal schedule and a meal supplier, to lie for that $5 million, to steal it. And those people need to be charged and jailed. And you need to insist on that. When Jack Warner was trying to run as ILP, and he bring a Guyanese man to say, Jack only thief from FIFA, he ain't thief from you, they lie. Because I know for certain that fire engine was theft. And it can only be that one. We live in a country where people join political parties to get into public office to figure out how the shit works, to come out of government, to go into private sector, to become consultants and commission agents of all manner of international suppliers, to inflate contracts. And a progressive empowerment party government will make sure, will ensure that we go to the top and the bottom of all of these contracts and expose them for what they were and bring these people to justice, but most importantly, to bring our money back. It cannot be that we accept this as normal. It cannot be. And we have to start to ask questions now. Because if we put in the public space, when Stuart Young said that Devon Mirage asking questions of the boat builder Hostel about the actions of the Toronto government, he wanted to call it sedition. Because Stuart Young knows if it only triggers an investigation in Australia, those people, if they're involved in any way, in any type of corruption, are going to make a jail. Like Guterres, Hillman and Burke, who was involved with Ish in the airport. And that from the moment those people get convicted, that international law would summon them. And they're panicking for that. So you're distracted with all manner of bullshit. And we can't have that. We can't continue to live that. We can't continue to live like people so easily distracted by foolishness. You cannot continue to accept a country where police officers rent out regions for crime to take place. And that's why you have to support Gary Griffith, because if anybody has the potential to clean it up, it is him. Because I still trying to figure out what Stephen Williams do with all the time he was there. What Philbert do? What? And now that the Anti-Corruption Investigative Bureau has been removed from the Attorney General and put back to the Commissioner of Police, I know they only give Gary 3 years. But I'm watching to see, and I'm hoping that he does, use the power of that office to bring politicians to justice. You are going to have the country you want when you stand up and demand better. There are journalists in this country that tell me, Philip, not all journalists corrupt, and I know that. But you all have the power to stand up. Do you think that I do this at no risk to me? Do you think that there is no victimization for Philip Edward Alexander because I do this? Do you think that this is easy every single day? It will get easier. It gets easier as more and more people stand up. If the soca artists in Trinidad and Tobago had stood up against the soca mafia, there would be no soca mafia. And the country needs to ask Anthony Chaulinon, formerly known as Chinese Laundry, to explain to them how the soca mafia works. How getting a gig at carnival time happens. Explain it to them, Tony, because the country needs to know. Now, every time we deal with an issue in this country, it has to be at the expense of a friend and that friend's friends, because they're not going to like us putting this out in the public space. Machel Montano's entire career is built on stealing time. And they're building it and consolidating it every year at the expense of everybody else. I am not saying Machel don't have some talent, but Machel's real talent is to allow the criminals around him to continue to steal every carnival for him. And it is happening. There is a soca mafia in this country. And this year, the public see it plain as day with Savannah Grass. Because everywhere you look and everywhere you turn, that is the only song everybody wanted. Some people will always like something else. But forget, and Don Ali Lopez saying, let's demand voting. No, let's demand justice. Let's demand things like investigations. How these things happen. You should have rules and regulations. You should be able to say, this is how the road march works. And that is just that as an example. Just that. One masquerade controller is now controlling your whole carnival. One soca outfit controlling your whole carnival. What you get to hear and what you don't get to hear. How is that good enough for you? How is that acceptable to you? How? And that's just carnival. That's the least of our problems. That could end tomorrow. It doesn't matter. If carnival could be so corrupt, if it is so easy to destroy culture, steal it, monetize it, get government to subsidize it, take company money, and there be nobody to investigate it, and the media publishing bullshit, and this is our country, how could this be? How could it continue to be? 2020. You could send a message as people up to their neck in a cesspool that this is what we like. Tell Philip Edward Alexander, take your umbrella and go. Take your Orange Army and haul your ass. We like shit. It's shit we want. Tell us that. Or tell the PNM and the UNC and the contract mafia, we are decent people. We wanted an opportunity to rescue our country. We see it now. We stand with this man. We will give him our power and send him on a mission to bring the corrupt to justice. You could also do that. I sat in a meeting today, and all we talked about was some of the things that people in this country got away with. People that I consider friend and family. What they've done. And they don't like at all that I am in politics. They're scared actually. As we make up more ground, they get more afraid. Because to the contract mafia, there is one thing only they are scared to death of. And that is Philip Edward Alexander in the parliament. Because there is no other political organization and no other politician that can do or will do what we will do. And you watch it every step of the way, and we force them to deal with it. And if in 2020, Maxi Coffee cannot run for elections in Laoketa Talparo, all the time that he was there masquerading as a member of parliament, and Keith Rowley did not do his duty to request the president declare the seat vacant and call a by-election, Keith Rowley has been in a conspiracy with Maxi Coffee for Maxi Coffee to receive public funds under false pretenses. And that is a criminal act. Your prime minister is working in tandem with others to steal public funds. And if you cannot see that and you cannot say that, then we are in trouble. There is a reason every single talking head talks about the PEP and not about the UNC and the PNM. Because they're getting paid to attack us. There are people who have tried to form political parties that to look like what we do, that collapse, that the copy and paste media gave endless time to. We have a list of them. Jokes that failed, that non-starters couldn't leave the gate, had the world to say, now they're silent. People who went abroad, tear up and throw away the Trinidad passport, swear allegiance to the American flag. AJ Khan is not even a Trinidadian. He couldn't run for a seat here if he wanted to. Come to fool all here with a little $5 million he get from UNC. So he hijack a couple of my members and distract them with foolishness. Form a party that lasts 2 weeks. Say they had $30 million in our war chest. They tried to have one meeting 5 times. Failed all 5 times. With $30 million. We with none have had over 100 public meetings. We'll be having another public meeting this Saturday. This Sunday we have our family day. The following Saturday we launch our North Hub, our 4th office. The Saturday after that we launch our 2nd edition of the Pep Market at Lions Civic Center. The first one was so well attended. Too nice to not do twice. And we still don't get media. And we still not getting the coverage that we are entitled to as a political organization in direct contravention of your and our rights as citizens in the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. An unethical and unconstitutional move. And we are now appealing for lawyers to stand with us. We are appealing to lawyers who are citizens and patriots of this country to stand with us. And we are asking you to help us finance a lawsuit to sue the Trinidad and Tobago Telecommunications Authority, TAT, Dr. Prince, the Media Association of Trinidad and Tobago, and every media house. And to bring them in a class action lawsuit before a judge to demand restitution for every minute of media time we were denied. You want a better country. You're supposed to understand what a better country is. If you touch down in America or England or Australia or Canada, Spain, Portugal, Switzerland, Sweden, Japan, you expect certain things. You expect schools will work, and if it doesn't work, there'll be somebody to talk to. You expect public health to work, and if it doesn't work, there'll be somebody to talk to. You expect the roads, if they have potholes in the road, that you can't drop in and break your axle, that there'll be somebody that you get redress from. You would expect that. These nations are built on management of the human fabric. The society of people that make up the country, they ensure that jobs, home ownership, and social development and management are the three pillars that hold the country together. You will expect that when you're in a developed nation, you turn on the tap, there'll be water. There are people who have come here and found it amusing, the steps Trinidadians take to have to survive your everyday. The steps that you have to take. Not one of you are safe. All of you who outside there laughing and joking and giggling and making light of everything. You don't know if you and your loved ones see it tomorrow. They have many slips between the mouth and the lip that happen tonight. You don't know. In a country this broken, a nation where a woman was kidnapped, raped, left for dead, walked to a police station naked as she born, the police officers put her out. You can't come in a station naked. Damned. All of us damned by a broken nation, corrupt to the core. Not one public office, not one could stand up and say it is free of the corruption brush. Not one. We literally need to purge every single office of state. We need to audit. We need to identify. We need to inquire of the validity of half of them. We have public offices in this country that serve absolutely no purpose, that are just jobs for the boys. All of this is fact. And we walk around accepting all of this madness without saying one to the other, if this continues, we will end up in a crisis. We are like the Titanic. Carnival was us whining on a sinking ship. You could have had the best time of your life. I'm not knocking you, you know. You could have lived your best life from Carnival Friday to Ash Wednesday morning. Wine back, wine front, no matter. But what happens next? What happens next? What happens when you find out your cost of living is increasing while your actual salary, the value of the dollar, is decreasing? What happens next? What happens when you realize that you're in danger, that there is nobody for you to turn to? People call me, Mr. Philip, I'm in problems, and my landlord put me out. My landlord gave me 4 weeks notice and I need help. And there's nothing I could do. It is a collective authority, either for or against you. And by your silence, you have elected to have it work against you. I watch one conglomerate buy up a squatter community by proving those people didn't have rights. But because those people couldn't afford a lawyer and they could, they end up, hear me, stealing squatters' rights. And I tell myself, if this is not a version of hell, what is hell? If Trinidad is not a version of hell, if a rich 1%er that want to expand a shopping center could steal squatters' rights because the squatters too poor to afford a lawyer, and the same people who spitting on the squatters going to go and shop family under bright lights. Because we have such a limited view of what we should stand for and against that we get fooled. So that when they drop us by the sideline and we find out we have no value, our voice has no value, that there is nobody to turn to, that you could get as outraged as you want without a progressive empowerment party. And hear me clear. We can't do this for 5 more years, you know. They have no live video every night, 3 hours of radio every morning, TV show about to launch. They don't have that every single day. We've been in meetings every week since Ash Wednesday. Every day since Ash Wednesday, in meetings, planning for a grand 3 meetings on Saturday. We do this at our expense, taking lawsuits, threats to life. Threats to life. Attacks from high, low, handjack and freaking game to stand up for a better country. You're literally watching it. Some of you have defended the most reprehensible actions by the media, instead of realizing that at some point you may end up right where we are. And then what? now that you've stood for wrongdoing, when wrongdoing comes on you, what happens then? What happens then? When Iowa George could have called me on the phone and tell me, that show you do this week, what's the black girl name? Who's do the show on the street, 91.1? Aisha Wells. That show you did with Wells, the biggest show we had on the station for a long time. Well done. You really bring the crowd. But I want to tell you, a Syrian financier, the PNM, call me and tell me, if Philip Edward Alexander ever come on your radio station again, you have no government money to get. No government advertising to get. We cut you off clean. That's what happened to Synergy. That's what happened to Synergy. So for all the moral outrage Stefan Rees had on his live videos, Stefan has a soapbox on mornings. And if Stefan really cared about the country, he would invite Philip Edward Alexander on his show, or tell Chinley and Stuart Young and the rest of them to take the station and shove it. Because to care about Trinidad and Tobago is to stand against abuse, not to buckle under. Sitting down in your can making live videos while feeding from the same trough that encouraging the problem, Stefan, you're not helping nobody. And there's a fellow that I like, so I'm giving you some advice. Fix your business too. The Trinidad and Tobago that we want, the Trinidad and Tobago that we want to grow old in, requires that we be respected, taken care of. That's not the nation that you're living in now. You are assuming that those who wrong are done to are unfortunate. Tonight I said, if there is a God in heaven, Eric Williams, George Chambers, and Patrick Manning burning in hell. A woman come to tell me, as much as I support the PEP, you can't be saying that, you can't be talking for God. I said, let me tell you something. Let me go and tell that to the 10,000 mothers of children who were murdered in cold blood in this racially divided narco state where little black boys killing one another to defend turf for criminals sitting in the front pew of the church. Don't pretend that you don't know. Don't pretend that you don't know, because that's not helping you when you reach the front line of the grocery and your children put out all the little bit of food that you buy, and you hand them that links card, and the woman tell you, it denied. And all the people behind you start to chafe, move from left leg to right leg, start to stoops, start to talk under their breath. You didn't know you didn't have the money when you come in the people's grocery. Don't wait for the story where you have to explain to your children walking out of that grocery the first night of hungry belly that this is their new normal. When your husband come home and tell you, company closed down. Closed down. What severance? Severance, they can't find the man. Gates locked. Bank people there, taking out everything. We go get a lawyer. You call the lawyer. The lawyer say, no problem, come in and see me. Walk with $5,000 for the first meeting. You're going to sue for $3,000, it costing you $5,000. You watch the wife watch you. All of a sudden you're starting to think, who to call, boy? Aha! I'll call Ian Allen. Ian tell you, we don't really handle that. Call Philip Alexander. So you're messaging me, Mr. Philip, here, this one. Put him on blast. Like I is blast for hire. When you could have put your voice to stand in your own defense and built the movement that would have protected you, you come to find me now to put on blast for you. The fact that we do not have offices of state that work is because you've chosen to be silent in the face of all wrongdoing. You are in the hospital and you're watching people suffering. When I get through in St. James, 3 hours after, I was supposed to come and do a video and praise them. Call them Mother Lakshmi, Abdullah, Muhammad, Jesus, everybody. Blessings to all of those who helped me. But I came and did a live video to call out the entire government of Trinidad and Tobago that would put people through that. People that I left there still suffering. But somehow or other, when you get through, you walk out and you're pulling your children close to you. You ain't want you close to touch them others who don't have your link and your connection. But God don't sleep. And a couple of weeks later, you take their place. Sitting down there, twist up your face, strips in. 9 hours pass and they have nobody talking to you. Do not allow yourself to be victims of your own selfishness and apathy. That is what has destroyed this nation. Not the racist vote so much, you know. The racist vote I could understand. There have always been stupid people in the world, and there will always be stupid people in the world. But we are not outnumbered by the racists. The people that we are outnumbered by are the people who don't care. And Martin Luther King Jr. said, it is not the ones that are doing wrong that I hold in mind, you know. It is the ones that look on and see and do nothing. That is the real tragedy of our existence. Those that think that because their circumstance are a little more fortunate. We live in a country where Westmoreans think they're better than Petty Valley, and Petty Valley think they're better than St. James, and St. James think they're better than Cocorite, and Cocorite think they're better than Beetham, and Beetham think they're better than Sealots. We all live in that fake structure. God help you if you find yourself losing that fake structure. When the reality dawns on you that you were never better than anybody, you were just fortunate for a minute. That the people who are really fortunate are laughing all the way to the bank, no matter what your circumstances are. We have to fix this. We have to fix it. We're meeting this Saturday at noon. 19 Stanmore Avenue. This Saturday, we're meeting at noon. Think about yourself and your children in the future. Regardless of how good things are now, think about yourself and your children in the future. If you want a better country, we're meeting this Saturday at noon, 19 Stanmore.
I visited band and chamber, witness an orchestra, a bang, 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 of only politicians. Well, rated their performance and style, talent and endurance, a bang, 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 of parliamentarians. Politics that encourage hate, making good folks discriminate, bridges replaced by gates. Nurturing racism, prejudice and tribalism, multiculturalism, nomadism from the UNC and the PNM, COP in the political symphony. It's a symphony with the TOP, MSJ, and JSC and the political symphony. It's a symphony. Stop taking it cool. Don't be playing for a fool. You're using race as a tool to divide, conquer, and rule. Just be like a bull. The race that they always pull. Off the road, off the road, off the road.
And they will never encourage that conversation because they don't want to encourage that conversation, because a nation of enlightened people turned on to the realities of their circumstances and condition, those people will not stand for the nonsense of the PNM and the UNC. They have no way critical thinkers could ever tolerate the bullshit of Keith Rowley, the nonsense of Kamla Prasad Misesa, the stunting jackassery of Bastio Pandey, and the fool the people dictatorial rump of Patrick Manning. A real people, a real nation of critical thinkers would have spit those sons of bitches out a long time ago. There would never have been a lesser evil exchange nonsense. Trinidad and Tobago would have stood up for itself. But we're not that nation yet, and we need to be it. Because if you could live in a country that could reward the foolishness them London boys sing for Carnival and blank this, they blank this to give London $725,000 to sing nonsense. What was the message sent to every other Calypsonian? Sing shit, get money.
Every day I sit and wonder how this sweet island gets so bitter. Low salary but cost of living gets higher. and harmony. My red, white, and black country. We fight. What would it take for us to unite? Look how we children them going astray, and we hold on to faith each day. So all who hear my message and playing dumb, many go pay in time to come. So all the innocent lives they're taking, the mind and the souls they're corrupting. Everything has a price to pay. On a great, great judgment day. Sweetie and land of the milk and honey, sweet family, the way that it used to be, like long ago. What was mine was yours. Peace and harmony, my red, white, and black country. Situation in your head, you can create and you can destroy. This turn of sorrows into joy. Forgive us, Father, we have sinned. Turn back the sword, the Lord and pleaded. Change the hearts of the wicked ones. Guide and protect all your daughters and sons through this perilous time. So know with you on board, blessings will flow. TNT will again arise through the sweet, sweet paradise. So bring it sweet TNT, bring it back, not the milk and honey. Sweet family, the way that it used to be, Lord. Like long ago, what was mine was yours too. Peace and harmony, my red, white, and black country. Bring it back, I say. Bring it back, I say. When it take a village to grow a child, and all we do was smile. Bring the country back, I say. When we eat from the same pot, we drink from the same cup. My red, white, and black country. When we look out for each other, we were all brothers keepers. My red, white, and black country. Sweet family. My red, white, and black country.
We have a mission. We have a responsibility as a people. We who are parents, we have responsibilities to our children. We who are children, we have responsibility to our parents. We have responsibilities as citizens. We have responsibilities as people of Trinidad and Tobago. And if we do not stand together and demand better, if we do not put aside the absolute nonsense of social and class division, if we do not learn that if we do not swim together, we will sink alone, Trinidad and Tobago is heading for a crisis of epic proportions, like the people in Venezuela who had to sell their mother, their wife, and their daughter so that they could eat. We go end up there. There is only one solution to what is taking place in Trinidad and Tobago. Don't let them fool you. The time is now. The people, us, the mission here, We won't get a second chance. You know what to do. Stand strong. Stand loud. Stand together. Demand better. When they come to tell you bullshit, say miss me with that. We want a better Trinidad and Tobago. If you could defend the status quo, tell me what works in our country. Nothing.
Your vote will decide our destiny. Your vote will decide what you want to be. Your vote can protect our country's fate. One use it well before it's late. If it is that who you're voting, crazy or not out. When you're voting, vote them out. Vote them out. If it is the proven to be your equal amount, when you're voting, vote them out. Vote them out. If it is the time is now that change should come about,
Just as how you vote them in.
vote them out. Register and vote them out. If they can see, vote them out. State your finger and vote them out. Show them no mercy, vote them out. Vote them out with total scorn and utter disdain. Let's put our country together again. Put them out of power, terminate the reign. Let's put our country together again. If for 30 years you voting them in, and there's only tears as soon as they win, they give you big words and enslave your souls, promising you roads and giving potholes. If they are the reason why the economy won't sprout, when you're voting, vote them out. Vote them out. If it is the passing laws that them alone can flout, when you're voting, vote them out. Vote them out. If it is the building ISAs, east, west, north and south, the same way you vote them in, vote them out. Register and vote them out. Totally, vote them out. State your finger and vote them out. Rescue the country, vote them out. Vote them out with tempo, they happy in pain. Let's put our country together again. Put them out with calypso and joyous refrain. Let's put our country together again. If their policy is a fallacy, their bureaucracy
A catastrophe.
if they cannot cope,
And you see it so.
then your only hope is for them to go.
We playing change exchange. Manning, Pandey, Kamala, Rowley. A sticking up in Robbie, Chambers, Eric. Not that they're blameless. Don't get me wrong. Robbie, Chambers, Eric are beyond shameful. Especially Eric. Eric Williams, I think, is the disease. He was what we contracted that destroyed this nation. Eric Williams. Eric Williams destroyed Trinidad and Tobago. Without a shadow of a doubt, I believe that. Everything that is wrong with this country could be traced directly back to Eric Williams, that bullshit artist. But when I talk about Rowley, Kamala, Pandey and Manning, is the modern era to a lot of people. To a lot of people who try to talk politics of Trinidad and Tobago, the younger generations, and I'm talking people in their 30s and their 40s, have no concept of Eric Williams, Robinson and Chambers. So let's just talk these last four jokers. This jackass cat, this clown car, Kamala, Pandey, Rowley, Manning. Let's talk about them. And to their defenders, this is for you. This is for you. Under Manning, the police service was corrupt. Under Pandey, the police service was corrupt. Under Kamala, the police service was corrupt. Under Rowley, the police service is corrupt. Now, why did none of them put anything in place to clean up the police service? I am not the first one to know. And it is not only the New York City Internal Affairs Division that could have cleaned up our little pitiful 6,000 police officers police force. It is not only them could have come and jail Kaki. But Manning, Pandey, Kamala and Rowley never wanted to deal with it. You see, what you focus on is what grows. Corruption is what they focus on. So all you hear about is Ish and Calder and Calco and SIS and all these jackasses. What you focus on is what grows. Under Manning, the hospital public health was shit. Under Pandey, shit. Under Kamala, shit. Under Rowley, shit. Putting people children to sleep on brown paper if they're lucky. Putting your mommy and your daddy to sleep on piss soaked mattress if they win a lotto. If you're not lucky, it's ground for you and mash up mattress. But those four jokers spent $120 billion on public health. Those four jokers, between them, spent nearly $1 trillion on national security. The insanity that you could even contemplate thinking about the PNM or the UNC watching every single minister of education we have ever had has used the Ministry of Education to enrich themselves, their friends and their contractors. Book printing in Trinidad and Tobago is a racket. You can imagine that. School book is a racket. What these think about yet, boy? School book is a racket. Fixing school, when the media tell you this school didn't open and that school didn't open, the media don't tell you we've spent more money repairing the roof on the toilet than it cost to build the whole school. This is a nation that spent more money than it would have cost to build a brand new Hilton, renovating the Hilton we already had, and nobody can tell you what was done. We get a $25 million pool where a pool already was. Where a pool already was? Who you do? What did you do for $25 million? What? What? Under Manning, Pandey, Kamala, Rowley, we grow no food. It has become a massive business to import food. We have so much fertile land, growing razor grass, building gas station mall. You see the latest thing? Financiers of the PNM and UNC, you get handled, you want to build a gas station? Go and see all the gas stations that opened in the last 5 years. Friends and financiers of the government. People lose their contract for their gas station so that the government, we had a second gas station racket in the last 10 years in this country. The first gas station racket killed Gene Miles and built a corn curls empire in Trinidad and Tobago to launder the money. The second one happened and nobody paid attention. We live in a country where nothing works. Nothing. Think about that. Think about the fact that the prestige schools, every time you press the point, the parents come to tell you that the only reason the prestige schools work is because the parents are involved in the operation of those schools. So what does that mean? What are we spending $5 billion a month on in public education if it doesn't work? If it doesn't work, if at the end of the scholastic year, the 10 years, 5 years from SEA to Form 5, 7,000 children go missing, out of the system, failed, do not graduate, do not get a single pass. What do we think happens to them? What do we think happens to those 7,000 16-year-olds that join the 7,000 17-year-olds that join the 7,000 18-year-olds? We can continue the game, you know. What do we think happens to them when Marshall Monday roll around and tickets out? What do we think happens to them when they finally see a girl or a boy that get them itchy and they want to impress? What do we think happens to them when it's dinner time and man hungry? What do we think happens? What? Tell me, because I want to know. You're walking around knowing 7,000 children fail out of education, that you need 3 CXC pass to pack fries in an envelope to put in a dinner box in KFC. If you need 3 CXC passes to become a sandwich artist for Subway, to earn minimum wage minus the cost of the clothes that you're wearing, what do we think happens to the people who have none? What? What are we telling ourselves when we see crime take place? All of us who want to talk good boy bullshit. Why mommy crying? He was a good boy. What did we expect that boy to do? If our country failed them, and your child that you think not like them, put your child in their circumstances. Let them go through that circle. Let them go to school where the class, half the teachers don't come. Let them go there. And the other half of the teachers, when they come, saying, oh, they don't disturb me, I have a headache from last night, or they just play quiet. Let your child go through that system and find a way to come out with passes. People tell me it's not the school, it is the school. People tell me it's not the teachers, it is the teachers. There are people in this country drawing salaries under false pretenses in all manner of circumstances, especially, and this is going to be hard for some of you, but you're going to have to choke on it. Doctors, nurses, medical professionals, there are accountants in this country who are just criminals. All they work for is criminal people. There are lawyers in this country that are known criminals. We just arrest 2 police officers today for being members of a gang. You get a commissioner that works. You see how that works? If you put somebody who's capable of doing the job, who has the ability to do the job and the willingness to get the job done, you see what happens? Now all of a sudden, put somebody in government who will give you a minister of education who will identify the shit-hung teachers and fire them. And let tutor march. Let them march. Let them count it in days, weeks, months, and years. Don't stop marching. I will supply Moby and rock cake every freaking day. March, you jackass. When the people children suffering, when you don't realize that your bullshit as a union doesn't contribute to the development of a nation, but you're only concerned with robbing the same workers for your union dues, march, I tell you. Only I face the right prime minister yet. March. We need a better country. And if that involves breaking the bullshit, break the bullshit. It is time to fix it. Your children have a right. We signed, this country is a signatory since the 80s to the UNICEF, United Nations Rights of a Child. The number 3 item is a right to a proper education. We signed that. But like anything else, we didn't mean it. We didn't mean it. We make doctors sign confidentiality agreements. We promise them jail if they let people know that we mining snake and pigeon in the operating room in public health. $5 billion a year, not counting the money to build new hospital. That $5 billion is to just operate bullshit we already have. We make members of the supervisor of insurance in central banks sign documents that if they leak the madness that is the criminal corruption of the banking system in Trinidad and Tobago, they will go to jail. It is easier to end up in front of a court now for speaking out against corruption and wrongdoing in this country than to end up in front of a court for actual corruption. What madness.
If it is fabrication, these statements that they spout when you're voting, if it is that frustration that make you want to shout when you're voting, before they misuse out,
Thief out, sell out, and digs out. That is your politicians. Explain.
register and all of them, stick your finger and them on the system, put them out in Scarborough and in Port of Spain. Let's put our country together again. Put them out in Komuto and in Laromen. Let's put our country together again. People must come first.
Citizens by right. None of we was yellow, white, black, green, every shade in between. Free movement and speech. A garden that grows and one law for each. And it is time that you understand what free movement and speech meant in that song. Because you've had governments come and governments go that refuse to deal with the fact that many of our laws are bullshit and nonsense. That there are lawyers who use them in front of judges who can't interpret them to create a system of justice in this country that doesn't make sense. And don't get me wrong, there are some very good and decent people in the law profession, the teaching profession, the doctors, medical profession. But we become a nation where it is easier to be corrupt, where it is easier to be lazy, where all you have to do is hold your corner, don't see nothing, don't say nothing, take your piece and go. You can imagine what it is to be a police officer in Trinidad and Tobago, straight out of the academy, reach in a police station to see rampant corruption and mismanagement. And they tell you, they have 3 ways to leave this police service, you know. You could be part of we, you could go missing, or you could quit the work now and don't talk what you know. When you talk to police officers, good and decent police officers that tell you how frustrating it is, there are police officers in this country that light candles in the name of Gary Griffith now, you know, because they see him as the only chance to that service working. Now, while you're talking about that, we have an army. We have an army in Trinidad and Tobago that serves no purpose. None. It's there just in case. That's what it is. Our army is like insurance. We can't run the country. We don't know about national security. We can't protect the people. We can't manage the country. So we have an army in case the people behave bad. And instead of using that, because you can't fire them all, so now you have to repurpose that organization, and obviously they train the national security, so don't waste it, but repurpose it. But you see, under Manning, Pandey, Kamla, and now Rowley, Trinidad is a narco state. They've not secured the borders. They will tell you how much illegal guns there are. The media will copy and paste and write down how many illegal guns there are, but the media won't tell you why. You could drive up to the Trinidad and Tobago Yacht Club with AK-47s, AR-15s, and 10 ton of cocaine in your Bertram, and they have nobody to check to see what you and the family lifting out of your $2 million boat to put in your $3 million car. And as long as that is our situation, miss me with the bullshit. Stop pretending to give a shit. Watching Stuart Young walking downtown waving at people was an insult to decency. Stuart Young is a comic clown without the makeup. He born so. And the reality is, as long as you continue to accept stunting jackasses like that one, we will continue to get the worst of government. And that is what he and the band of malcontents he is a part of represents. Look around you and tell me if any of this is the best that we could do.
If it is that injustice is what they always show, when you're voting, vote them wrong. If it is that avarice is all they seem to know, when you're voting, vote them wrong. If it is their politics, it's just a puppet show. When elections day come, all bandits must go. Register and if they don't see, stay no finger and show them no mercy. Put them out with total scorn and utter disdain. Let's put our country together again. Put them out of power, terminate the reign. Let's put our country together again.
Vote them out, and I'm gonna give you one more before we go, because tonight was a little extra something. We started off saying we're gonna do a short video. We know what I have, but we have to have these conversations. We can't stop having this conversation, and I'm going to have this conversation until we either win or lose an election. Either way, I cool. If we win an election, I have 5 more years to give them a country, and if we lose, no problem, I go my merry way. But I will continue to have this conversation. I'm going to force this into the national conversation. We are not going to accept bullshit as a narrative. There are too many good people outside there, like this gentleman who is about to sing for you. When you listen to them, you know that it is not just me and it is not just us, that they have a growing movement of people in this country dedicated to a better Trinidad and Tobago. And if that is what you want, you're supposed to be able to stand. Stand with us. Stand with the people dedicated to a better Trinidad and Tobago. Stand with the dreamers and the believers. Stand with those who want real change.
If you can look as far as I see, within this great land we call TNT, there's birds and bees, rivers and seas, pretty woman bringing man to their knees. Treasures of this blessed land we always neglect like ISO and pan. I find it so strange the way we arrange. Still this nation don't know how to change. To some change it might just mean a new car. Change could mean less than $1. To most change have this nice scent we usually get from the government. You see, change is something we always say, but every time we change things remain the same way. Things keep getting worse and worse, so this is what I propose. Let's change the change for a better nation. Change the change for all foundations. Change the change so that we could say that this nation here came from quite down there. I say change the change within the school systems. Stop changing ministers and change what we teach them. But things won't change despite all we do if change doesn't start with you. Is mud can't tell you go, but this still the land we used to know. Homeless, every corner you meet, and they complimented by our dirty streets. Then we wonder why, in our sister eye, why they don't let Trinis to come and spend time. When you see change is much more than paving an old road, and change is greater than fixing a lamp pole. Change is about the whole nation and how we are portrayed when the party done. Who set these standards in my TNT? I really wish somebody here could tell me. It's just the same thing again and again, like we leaders don't use their brain. So change within our country. Change so the whole world could see. Change for a better future, so we don't have to depend on our next mayor. I say change within the society. Otherwise we have a bandit factory. But things won't change despite all we do. If change doesn't start with you. In our youth, we leave all the weight, cause in most leaders, we done a lost faith. They full of such greed. Oh Father, I plead, please Lord have some mercy on their seeds. Cause the youth are trying their best, but they're born in this place of lies and commerce. So eventually, when things get heavy, chances are they might turn out just like we. But you see, change could put an end to all this foolishness and could break this chain link of sadness. Change could help our leaders to grow and start preparing youths for tomorrow. Don't see change as something timely and start seeing change as your duty. To stop them from hurting one day is we had to point the way. So change for better transparency. Change for better economy. Change so no man one day will take we money and just fly away. I say for young Calypsonians, and stop saying culture is in good hands. But it won't change despite all we do if change doesn't start with you.
And that is the truth. That is the substance of all critical thinking citizens of this country. We outnumber the criminals, we outnumber the corrupt, we outnumber the contract mafia. We have a vision, we have a plan, we have ideas, policies and programs to solve every problem. We work every single day to bring this message to you. I have learned to live with a hoarse voice as my normal. We do this every single day. On Wednesday on the radio, I was reading columns that I wrote since 2010, 2011. People couldn't believe how long this madness has been our reality in this country. If you think that is how long it is, I want to show you how much further back it goes. Because the truth of the matter is, we have been allowing them to get away with madness. And it is we to fix it. What you're about to hear will disturb some of you. Consider this a warning. That since 1985, there have been people ringing the alarm bell, facing danger. Eric Williams was a stone cold killer. He had people like Randolph Burrows as commissioner of police that will have no problem planting gun on people after they say one man opened fire on 15 well-armed officers of the, what do you used to call them, the flying squad. That was at Trinidad and Tobago. For when Sparrow, the mighty Sparrow, they threaten and tell him, go back Grenada, or we send you back there in a drum for standing up and singing against. Listen to lyrics. Listen to this.
Your intelligence, I think, and you should face issue, but you're behaving like
yelling like a moron, cussing me for where I'm born. What Sparrow went through, I go through every single day.
They have no water, you pay too much for butter. Take your steel beam and go. The terrible school system is such a bloody problem. Take your steel beam and go. Agriculture's in a state, planning is inadequate. Take your steel beam and go. In northern and southern, idol,
Two kingdoms of Mobile, we know.
we like it so.
40 years ago, no water, food too expensive, education in a mess, planning inadequate. 40 years. 40 years. The Calypso king of the world tell you that 40 years ago. And we know what? He right. We are like it so.
Anything that's wrong, he go put it right. Georgie Porgy tell me the other night. So instead of displaying impatience, pull yourself and give the fella a chance.
PNM people telling me that, you know. Cool yourself and give Rowley a chance. UNC tell me that about Kamala.
The hell you could say when I go do better. Bet we send you back Grenada in a drum. We and Georgie going to put it right together. We have freeness and freedom. Plenty roti, plenty rum. Hospitals have no linen. This brown paper they're using.
Hospitals have no linen. It's brown paper they're using.
Take your steel beam and go. Public transportation is an abomination.
Public transportation is an abomination. 40 years ago, billions, trillions spent, nothing changed.
Take your steel beam and go. Well, food, clothes, and rent is proof. Cost of living gone through the roof. Take your steel beam and go. Classified information
For personal gain is common, we know.
but we like it so.
Classified information is common. For personal gain is common. They tap in your phone and monitoring you 40 years ago. You think, what is Kamala bring them people down here to do? To fake the Ministry of National Security? The university people who had come down here and tap everybody. This is a mad-ass country. We have to take responsibility. If Sparrow could have sing this 40 years ago and nothing changed, there's only one political party that has the knowledge and the ability to tear apart the contract mafia, and they know. They know. Put Philip Edward Alexander in the parliament. And don't permit everyone seated. We need 40. Put Philip Edward Alexander in the Progressive Empowerment Party in the parliament. We will tear apart the contract mafia. We will shut down the corruption of the 1% and those broken criminals in society, in the Law Association, the Chamber of Commerce, and the accountants. We will make sure all who have to account will account. Those who need to see a court will see a court. We will make sure that we set up a corruption court. That judges will hear corruption cases 24 hours a day. We will ensure that we hire people to scour the world to find our money and bring it back. Trinidad and Tobago need a government that committed, that devoted, and there's only one political organization in this country's history that has the knowledge and the ability to do it, and that is the PEP, and that's why they're fighting us so hard. That is why, for all the nonsense that the Media Association of Trinidad and Tobago wanted to publish that bullshit, when I call out, cool yourself, when I call out Hema Ramkissoon for her nonsense interview with the Progressive Empowerment Party, Media Association want to come up against me. But they can't defend the fact that today, Newsday write an article talking about political parties on the move when they fully well know the only political party that on the move is the Progressive Empowerment Party. You want a better Trinidad and Tobago, you have to stand up for it. We, the people of Trinidad and Tobago, we deserve better. And if you want a better country, join us. This Saturday at noon, we are at 19 Stanmore Avenue. Come, open mic, open session. Come and be a part of that. Come and join the party because Sunday, we have a family day. You want a better country, you have the opportunity. It is right in front of you right now. Decide. Because make no mistake, time going to pass. Whether you vote right or vote wrong, time is going to pass. Where you end up is up to you. Stay safe, Trinidad and Tobago.